Welcome, acolytes. As you can see, we're reacting to Rev says desu. Unhinged VTuber tries to cancel me. God damn it! Like, as it is, like, why? This guy is actually quite chill, so I don't get it. But it is what it is. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So, boy howdy, is today's video gonna be a wild one. Now, we're dealing with another situation.
Ooh, a wild one.
Where a VTuber has spent the better part of 2 days picking a fight with me, and that of course involves things like slandering me and saying the most unhinged things you'll ever see. Nothing new. We've dealt with this a million.
Wait, people on this app will treat fictional characters as if they were real people, and to talk about real people as if they were fictional, and then get mad at you for knowing the difference. You know what? It's social media drama. What the F? Like, I actually expect that stuff like this happens, especially if you defend yourself. Then people just go after you, like if you defend yourself aggressively, because as Rev does it, I mean, he just lays out the facts as it is. I don't see anything wrong with that, but people just seem to have something against him because he's direct. So
million times before. But what makes this situation unique is the fact that we're going to encounter a slanderous claim made against me by this VTuber that is easily the craziest thing I've ever seen. Okay, it is the most unhinged tweet I have seen in quite some time. Now, before we meet the main protagonist of today's manga chapter, here's some good news, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, this is okay. Good enough. Good enough.
Sure you don't miss out on this huge deal. So here is the main protagonist I was alluding to. Their name is Jia or Jia. I'm going to go with Jia for the purposes of this video.
Oh, go Jia. If I think it's the incorrect way of speaking it out, but it will trigger her even more.
You can see that they are a lewd tuber based puppy shark, and they do lewd content.
A super gremlin arrow. Okay, I like that.
And don't go looking through their links. Their Twitch leads you to a error 404. There's nothing there. It seems like their primary content is on Fansly, and I don't care to check that stuff out personally.
Okay, what's Fansly? I don't know what Fansly is. Let's see it. Fansly, by the way, if you like my content, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and press the notification button. As it is. I still don't know what the F this actually is. Oh. 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 Oh, it's a chat program for adults. Oh. Wait, don't look that one up. It was
it's not a judgment thing. I just don't want to look at someone's Fansly account. And moving forward, this is the first shot that was made that started this whole thing. So someone brought this to my attention. It says, I already shit talk Rev on his YouTube comments. He's a gooner for kids.
Really? Again?
So that is a very strange thing to type out. Like,
let's be honest, the freaking young avatar is a bit cringe. It is what it is, but I mean, it's not as bad, I think. Like, he doesn't do anything sexual with it.
Besides being completely slanderous, it's very weird that someone would be fantasizing about something like this, especially when it involves real kids being hurt. Like, that's a very strange thing to say, and also, like, admitting that you're going to my videos to leave random comments that'll be ignored like a fart in the wind is only helping my channel, so it's a very weird thing to think is like a big win for you. But this would lead into some other discussions from the past day or so, where there was a long thread arguing about lolly in the VTubing scene, where this VTuber says Gargur will always be better than you. Let that sink in. You're easily beaten by a little shark that isn't scared of a 4-letter word. Where Jia would reply saying, you need another break from the internet. 4 days isn't enough to grief your friend. Rip homeboy. Now you're probably like, what is that all about?
Yeah.
Well, to sum up this wall of text here, basically, they are referring to the fact that that VTuber is mourning the death of their friend who passed away a few days ago.
Oh, no.
And Jia is rubbing that in their face and mocking them and
Oh.
claiming that society is better off with that person gone because they would...
Yeah, it stands here. Children are arguing the internet. Lamok, Christians, good members. His friends died. This guy's for bring up my friend who recently passed. Okay, this is a low blow. To be honest, in my opinion, if you bring something like this up this gleefully, you really should get banned for a month. I mean, really, it's not a ban like, yeah, a month, like, yeah, an account banned for a month.
Of course, this is slander. Get off to children. And of course, the children in question are drawings. This was all about drawings. So Jia is mocking someone and their death because of drawings. Yeah, very unhinged stuff. Yeah. And of course, before I made any other moves, you got to check their public Twitter likes. And are you going to be surprised by what's going to happen? They're claiming that anything that is lolicon is pedophilia. Well, of course, you have the artwork here featuring the teenage characters from the McDonald's Japan ads. Everyone knows they're teenagers. They're underage. Here's another one. This one just sums it up very quickly. This is lolicon right here. And this is from only a few days ago. And some internet sleuths in my community found the source for this. And here's the tags. You can read them for yourself. Lolly. This is just a small sample. You got lolly, teacher, schoolgirl. Obviously, all these things would make them a massive hypocrite under their own standards. And I would make...
Yep. I love how Rev does that. Like, it seems to be so easy. He does it so easy. And I really, for the life of me, cannot navigate Twitter for shit.
A tweet basically compiling everything I just mentioned, and I quote retweeted their pinned tweet, basically their header talking about what kind of content they make. And it's everything I just said. You know, being a lewd tuber and your likes are filled with hentai and all of your content is lewd, and this stuff includes...
by the way, Rev answered... It's pretty weird to actually project these fantasies on the others. But
underage characters.
Most of the time it is projection, so yeah.
Characters that are being sexualized. And then you call everyone who criticizes you a gooner, which is very ironic. And then they're slandering people over fictional content and projecting weird fantasies. And then mocking people's deaths over fiction, which is just a very, very disgusting thing to do.
It is.
And really, in all honesty, I'm going to be real with you guys. This is where I planned on things ending, okay? I said my piece, I got my message across, it was very well supported, and that was going to be it. But they kept going, and it made things worse and worse. So they would quote retweet my tweet saying, "A loser stopped jaying off to his lolly poontang to tweet about me. How cute." Now, this will be a common theme in this video where this VTuber is talking about me and others and what we supposedly get off on. And if you like search or keyword search on their profile something like jaying off, you'll find about 40 tweets in the last 2 days proclaiming what I am doing in that sense.
Okay, I should stop. This is beautiful every single time.
Which is very invasive and weird. Can we just acknowledge that that's a very weird thing to constantly be talking about involving other people and what they're into, especially when I don't talk about those things anyways. So this is all just projection and fantasy, and it's very, very weird for someone to do that to another person on the internet. But anyways, things would keep getting worse, and this was one section of interactions I found very interesting. So one person was asking about the program they use for their model and all that, and Jia would reply saying, "Chill out VR reality, and you need equipment the cost of your electric and water bill your mom begs you to help pay off, but you were never taught financial literacy."
If somebody... this aggression for nothing. Damn. For nothing. This is just a question.
So they're basically trying to poor shame this user.
Yeah,
and
instantly.
Then around here, they're mocking this person.
Yeah, and by the way, if somebody says something like this, just go. Just say, okay, and go. It's fine. It's done.
It's saying that they're an untalented loser and that they're going to slap them back to birth so they can change their life around, where the user would reply saying, and this is coming from someone with a Second Life YouTuber Gooner account, where Jia would reply saying, my avatar cost your rent money. So when you're going to be flexing on people about how supposedly wealthy you are, how poor they are, like, number one, instantly cringe. Anytime you're flexing wealth or trying to poor shame people, like, that's instantly cringe. I don't care. There's no context where it's actually something that looks good for you, okay? Like, even when...
The only context where I can see that it's good for you, if somebody tried to actually money shame you or poor shame you, then it's fine. Or maybe in a joke.
People with actual wealth, like XQC, tries to flex on people as a response to criticism. Yeah, he has the money, but it's still cringe. Now, you want to make sure when you're doing this, you at least have something to back that up, which they don't. This tweet was made 2 days ago. It says, I love how everyone claims they're broke, but are literally shopping right now. Bro, I can't even get myself a Christmas gift. That's what broke is.
This hypocriticism is so funny. Oh, fuck.
Again, I don't poor shame anyone, but if you're going to flex on other people and tell them that they can't pay their bills and that they can't afford your VTuber model and it costs more than they could ever afford, and then a day later you're talking about how broke you are, I think this is all just projection, which is going to be kind of a common theme throughout this entire video. Now, this is the coup de grace. This is the magnum opus of this video. At this point, I wasn't making a video, but when I saw this tweet, I said, okay, it's time to make a video about this situation. This is easily the most wild accusation I've ever had lodged against me. It took a lot of creativity to come up with this one. Let me read it, okay? Yo, Rev says Desu got a art commission rejected by an artist. He wanted not safe for work art of him and his sister, aged younger, and got soy boy when he tried to throw people under the bus about it. Kinda crazy how he has such a platform, but can't even draw his own lolly hentai to get off. What? Like, genuinely, what? You had to really get creative to come up with this. And if the 107 quotes versus 33 likes wasn't an indicator of how insane this accusation is, let's just address a few things. Number one, hilariously, this tweet got a community note. It got fact-checked. This is the second time this has happened where, of course, it says, Rev says,
if you find this, you're really... You're done.
Desu
You're just done.
Doesn't have a sister. So that's the first hole in their entire claim. But really, did you even have to go that far? You can just ask for a source. If this is an actual thing that happened, it would be very easy to provide a source of me asking for this commission and doing these crazy things that everyone who's familiar with my content or just me in general would know. I would never ask for anything like that. In fact, I'm not even one to go out there asking for commissions in the first place. But moving on, I would just make this simple reply saying, genuinely, WTF are you talking about, where I would ratio them into the shadow realm, and this would make things worse. I think seeing this happen would make them extra angry about the situation, and they would continue to make a fool out of themselves. So there were people replying, saying things like, the most blatant attempt at slander I've ever witnessed, where Jia would reply saying, Rev publicly protects lolicons so much, even normal people on the internet call him a lolicon. What do lolicons do again? Sexualized drawings that look like kids. Okay, that last part's not true. They don't look like kids. Lolly is just a body type. It has nothing to do with age, and it involves fictional characters, so that's a completely unfair comparison that you have no proof to back up. And this first part talking about protecting lolicons. I don't know.
And by the way, Rev doesn't protect it, by the way. But in the end, if you know someone who actually jacks off to freaking lolicon, be worried, because I agree that it's a lot. It's really cringe. Like it's sus at best.
Necessarily think I'm sitting here protecting lolicons. I'm here to say that slandering people over drawings with unfounded claims and connections is bad. And it's not just lolicon. I will defend any sort of fictional content that people are slandering others over, because I think that people have the right to consume this stuff because it's not harming anyone. And that includes defending things that I think are, personally I don't like or I think are weird. But I will respect the ability of others to consume it because it's not harming anyone. And to think I'm out here
as long as it's not harming anyone, I wouldn't talk to a person like that, but
trying to say you must consume this stuff. No. I'm just saying respect people's right and don't slander them over it. That's all. It's very simple. Here's another reply saying, when are you going to release the full version of this fanfic, though? Where Jia would reply saying, you're the one who seems to be thinking about incest lolicon videos. No one said videos. Put your boner away. First of all, they didn't say videos, but just looking at how scrambled this sentence is, they were replying probably every 30 seconds for hours on end, and I think they just got to a point where they were hysterical. They were hysterically typing, and things were just flying out of the old workshop, not completely thought out. Okay, these sentences don't make any sense, and they're just very confusing. And my fiance, for those who don't know, Darling Straub here, she would actually reply to the thread saying, making up all this stuff is really weird, not gonna lie. You're a grown person, get some self-respect. And yeah, they are 23 years old. This is all a little bit too much for a full-grown adult to be saying these things. But they would reply to her saying, you're a nobody on the internet. You don't have to type, but you still do. Kind of crazy. Number one, this whole bit about typing when you don't have to is the reason we're here right now. You didn't have to pick a fight with me. You didn't have to slander me. And you didn't have to double, triple, and quadruple down on those claims. None of this was necessary. You could have just seen my content or me, said, I don't like that, and blocked and moved on. But instead, you made a scene and I responded as I should. And to say that Straub is a nobody, okay? Me and her both know, at the end of the day, okay, we're not some famous celebrities, okay? We're micro niche internet celebrities. We're Z tier, okay? But the thing is, to say, someone like her is a nobody is ridiculous. Especially when, just like with the whole Porsche shaming thing, she has nearly 40 times this VTuber's following count on Twitter, for example. And as much as she appreciates Twitter, the real focus is on the actual content platforms like YouTube, where she has over 100K, or Twitch, where she has over 30K followers. She's not a nobody. That's a pretty successful career. And to brush it off like that is ridiculous. And again, projection. But moving on, the desperation would get out of control. So they would try to basically slander me with this tweet. I don't even know what they were trying to say. They said, oh, look, Rev says Desu fans taking the piss out of self-harm on a small YouTuber comment section. Now, number one, trying to blame or affix blame onto a content creator for things that viewers or people in their community are trying to say is already ridiculous, in my opinion. I've talked about that a million times before. But here is the proof that I'm supposed to be guilty of something, of looking bad at least, I guess. So this is a random comment on a random video I have no clue about that is 2 months old from an account that I don't know. I don't even know if they like my channel. And it's basically saying this. Thanks, need another reason to cut my wrist. Him explaining his meme as his viewers are 5-year-olds. Add another paragraph to my note. And this is supposed to be attacking this supposed small YouTuber. But you can see the comment is favorited by the YouTuber. So clearly they weren't very offended by whatever this was trying to say because they actually liked it. I don't know what they were trying to prove with this, but it was the craziest reach I've seen. But more people would keep asking questions like, where's this information from? Referring to the whole commissioned artwork that I supposedly made. And they replied saying, you can check my quote tweet about me saying it false if you actually cared about proof. That's my fault, but it just proved what others think of Rev. though I have seen many times in his videos supporting lolicon art since it, in quotes, helps pedos from committing crimes, which there's a Vice documentary about lollies with a pedo saying a manga influenced his first R-word victim. Okay, there's a lot to unpack in this, okay? This whole thing about caring about proof, you didn't care about proof before you made multiple tweets slandering me. Not just slandering me, but doing it in a very specific way. And this whole section here about this right here, I have never touched this pipeline of discussion. I don't think anyone could really handle that conversation, and I don't think we really need to get there because other conversations come before stuff like that. But this bottom part right here about the Vice documentary, they are completely twisting around what happened in that Vice documentary, my coverage of it. In the Vice documentary, they bring on a convicted predator who says that manga is the reason he offended and abused these kids. And in my coverage, I point out the fact that in that same interview, he admitted to having these thoughts about children roughly a decade before he ever picked up his first copy of manga. And my point was, this man, this predator, is trying to shift blame onto manga so people blame manga instead of his own actions. Okay,
Yeah,
that was
makes
my
sense.
point. I'm not saying it was
A lot of
helping
people
him
do
do
that.
anything. I'm saying he was trying to
Yeah.
push blame onto manga to absolve himself of his own crimes. But moving on, again, this was actually what they were referring to in the last tweet of their way that they addressed the false claim against me. So they said, quoting the original claim, saying, I tried to find the Twitter thread of this accusation and the artist deleted it. Yet everyone on YouTube still says Rev supports lolicons, not to mention his lolicon clickbait thumbnails that either him or his lover have to Photoshop every other day. Just starting at sexualized fictional kids to post on YouTube, kind of weird. I mean, number one, with this first part, they're basically saying that what they said is true, they just can't prove it. Which, of course, if there was an artist who said that, please bring them forward. You should be able to know what their name is, and then I could ask them for proof, because obviously this never happened. But it's like, I'm reading this, and I'm just like, I'm starting to like ask myself, like, why do I even feel the need to respond to this? Like, it's so frustrating, and like, I never want to put up with slander, okay? Slander is not something I'm ever going to tolerate, but like, man, I could explain everything away. I could provide receipts for everything. I could call out and ask for proof on every single claim, and I'll get nothing sent to me by the people making it, and it just won't change their minds because they just don't care. And this is not like, oh, good publicity. No, this is, they're losing followers, and now they have this terrible reputation of being completely unhinged and slanderous. And they would go on to say more things here, like saying, also just learned where the McDonald's retweet I did is from. I can apologize for ignorance. I didn't know since I don't live on the internet like most degens do. And again, like, I'm not trying to say anything, but like, you're a lewd tuber and you're calling everyone degens for consuming lewd content. Like, no self-awareness. And this apology, we always see this from people on, made in videos like this where I'm calling them out for being hypocrites about fictional content. They always use the excuse of, well, I didn't know that character was underage. I didn't know. I was just quickly scrolling. Well, no offense, that excuse doesn't fly because you create a standard for other people that slanders them and gives them a false label over what fictional content they consume. And when you do the same, well, guess what? That you don't get an excuse for that. Just like how you would never allow some other account to use this same excuse if you didn't like them, okay? And then this bottom part, they're talking about whatever this is, but they then say, Rev literally spends his entire life bullying people smaller than him so he feels better about himself, which is completely crazy. I hate this notion of like you can't punch down or all these things. I don't discriminate when I'm making videos. I talk about channels that are...
I will say this. Never punch up, never punch down. Punch back.
Smaller than me, the same size as me, and bigger than me. It's very, very diverse in that regard because I don't care about follower size. Just because your account has a certain size doesn't mean you're immune to criticism, especially when you're the one reaching out and starting a fight. You reached out to me first by saying things about me, and I just responded, and I have every right to respond and to defend myself against misinformation because we've seen how fast misinformation, even from small accounts, can spiral out of control to the point where thousands of people just blindly believe it because they want to support something that makes someone they don't like look bad. And they would end, this is one of the recent things I found before recording this video. They're still going. This is like now day 2. They said, Rev is the shittiest VTuber personalities out there. You never once grew as a person. He still attacks random small accounts because he jays off to the attention and power. A year later...
Oh, for fuck. Like, Jia, if somehow you get this video, please get a therapist. Like, go to therapy. Honestly. The way you act here, it's unhinged.
Later, after being called out for being a lolicon bully, he is still doing the same thing. And it's like, dude, whether you want to think I'm a lolicon or not, I don't care, because that doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean you're harming anyone. If you want to think of me that way, whatever. If someone proved that a year ago in this scenario they're talking about, what am I going to turn into a corn cob? Like, what's going to happen to me? I'm just going to keep making my content. That doesn't bother me or anyone in my community. And this idea, again, that, like, I'm getting off to the attention and power. No, I'm not. I'm just making content that I like. And that's all there is to it. I'm going to talk about things that I find interesting. I know my community finds interesting. And that's all there is to it. And again, you can talk about, like, my content being bad and everything. Like, I've made this entire video criticizing you without once talking about your content. I could care less about your content. This has nothing to do with your content. This is about things that you're saying online. And taking jabs at my content like that is just, well, it's an act of desperation. And really, that's going to do it for this video. I know it was a very long one, and yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out and listening.
Well, if you meet underage people like that, I mean, I probably have to change my mind about it. Because if a YouTuber like Rev or a bigger YouTuber says, hey, you really should stomp it, maybe there's something on it. But as it is, acolytes, good night.